Let me speak not just as a narrator, but as the spirit of a continent long abused, long deceived, but now rising. Let me speak not as a journalist, but as an angry African, awakened, aware, and unapologetically bold. Today, I shout for every silenced voice. I weep for every buried revolutionary. I roar for every youth now lifting the flag of liberation with their smartphones and their minds. This is not fiction. This is a revolution. This is not a story. This is our war cry. Years ago, our fathers and mothers sat by radios and televisions, listening to lies painted as truth. They called Kwame Nkrumah a dictator. They framed Thomas Sankara as a threat. They murdered Patrice Lumumba. They bombed Gaddafi into silence. They imprisoned Mandela for decades. And what was the excuse? That they were corrupt, dangerous, radical, or anti-democracy. They smeared them through BBC. They lied through CNN. They choked us with France 24. They tricked us through DW. They hypnotized us with Al Jazeera. All these outlets, all of them singing one chorus of deception, crafting our leaders into monsters to justify their assassinations, their invasions, and their looting. But not today, not anymore, because the table has turned. Today, Africans are not sitting in the dark, waiting for BBC to tell us our own story. Today, Africans are not begging CNN to explain what is happening in Ouagadougou or Accra or Conakry. Today, the children of Africa have a weapon far more dangerous than any Western bullet: truth. And that truth is spreading like wildfire on TikTok, X, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Yes, TikTok, the platform they never imagined would become the battlefield of African liberation. Who would have thought that a video platform once mocked as teenage nonsense would become the weapon of mass awakening for African youth? But that's what it is now. TikTok is now the battlefield, and our minds are the missiles. Just a few decades ago, the same old powers would have orchestrated the silent elimination of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, just like they did with Sankara, just like they tried with Lumumba. They would have told the world he's a coup plotter, a threat to democracy, a dangerous radical. And we would have believed them. But we are no longer that blind. We are no longer that naive. TikTok has become our truth serum. The youth of Africa are spreading the message, reshaping the narrative, sharing what CNN won't dare touch. Ibrahim Traoré is not a coup leader. He is a revolutionary. He is not a threat. He is the promise. He is not a danger to Africans. He is a danger to Western thieves who have feasted on our gold, our land, and our people for centuries. You see, the Western media always has a pattern. Whenever an African rises to say, enough, Africa must own its land, control its gold, govern its people, and break its chains, they panic. Suddenly, the leader is a dictator. Suddenly, sanctions come. Suddenly, mercenaries are sent. Suddenly, human rights abuses appear from nowhere. They tried it with Gaddafi. They tried it with Mugabe. They tried it with Sankara. And now, they are trying it with Traoré. But what they didn't anticipate is this. A new Africa is here. And this new Africa has data bundles and Wi-Fi. This new Africa has digital warriors who don't sleep. This new Africa has diasporas in the UK, USA, France, Canada, and Germany who are watching, recording, reposting, translating, and rallying. On April 30th, 2025, the world saw something it never expected: a global African uprising. Demonstrations didn't just happen in Ouagadougou. They erupted in Accra, Dakar, Bamako, Kinshasa, Nairobi, and echoed through Harlem, Brixton, Toronto, Berlin, and even Paris. the very heart of the colonial beast. Africans in the diaspora united under one banner: hands off Traoré, hands off Africa. Yes, on that historic day, Africans came with drums, flags, fists, and fire. We saw thousands chant in unison, "No more puppets, no more lies, we stand with Traoré." We saw elders cry tears of joy, because for the first time in decades, the youth had picked up the torch of revolution. This was not just a protest. It was an earthquake shaking the walls of Washington, Paris, and Brussels. And let it be known, Africa has risen, and we will not sit down again. Why do they fear Ibrahim Traoré? It is not because of guns. It is not because of power. They fear him because of his ideas. They fear him because he believes that Africa can be free without France, without America, without the IMF, without the World Bank. That's the real danger he poses. He's building a new narrative that says, we don't need permission to govern our land. We don't need validation from Europe. We don't need aid that enslaves us. He's forming coalitions with other Pan-Africanists. He's strengthening military ties with nations outside Western influence. He's demanding that gold, lithium, manganese and oil stay in Africa to benefit Africans. He's cutting off the leeches. That's why they want him gone. But the world is watching, the world is listening, and more importantly, the youth are documenting everything. The TikTok algorithm, bless that algorithm, is exposing what CNN tries to bury. Young Africans are now editing videos that show the truth. A truth that Westerners cannot shadow ban forever. Now, the enemy is powerless, and that's what terrifies them the most. Because the battlefield has shifted. In 1987, they killed Sankara in silence. No videos, no mass protests, no hashtags. They erased his dream and told us it was normal. But now, if one hair on Traoré's head is harmed, the world will shake. The videos will flood TikTok, and the West will be exposed for what it is: a parasite, clothed in democracy but feeding on blood. Let me speak to my brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Do not be silent. Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Ethiopia, South Africa, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, Niger. Do not be silent. Continue to speak, to post, to expose. Let every African YouTuber, TikToker, podcaster, blogger and Twitter space host rise to the occasion. If we do not defend our leaders who stand for us, then we deserve the chains we wear. To the so-called international community that wants to restore democracy in Burkina Faso, shut your mouths. You had centuries to show us your democracy, and all you gave us was slavery, apartheid, puppet regimes, and lootings. You don't care about democracy. You care about control. You fund civil wars, you arm terrorists, you assassinate patriots, you exploit resources, you meddle in elections, and now you dare preach democracy to us. Hypocrites! Listen, the African is no longer a fool. We know your script. We know your lies. We know how you call our revolutions coups and your coups liberations. We know how you infiltrate media, plant agents, fund opposition chaos, and then call it people's movement. You cannot fool us anymore. What Africa is doing now is not rebellion. It is restoration. It is not war. It is awakening. And if Ibrahim Traoré is the spark, then the people are the wildfire. Try to stop it, and you'll burn in your hypocrisy. So let every African rise. Let every content creator know. You are no longer just making videos. You are documenting history. Let every child know. Traoré is not just Burkina Faso's leader. He is Africa's son. Let every elder know. This is the Sankara you prayed for. He has come again, and this time we will protect him. This is not the time to sit. This is not the time to fold arms. This is the time to speak, stand, and sacrifice. Share this video like your life depends on it, because it does. Africa is not just a place, it is a spirit, a force, a people, and the time of silence is over. The time of begging is over. The time of being fooled is over. Let the world hear it. Africa is wide awake, and we will not go back to sleep. Traoré lives. Africa rises. The people roar, and the oppressors shall fall. Share this now. For every Sankara silenced, for every Lumumba betrayed, for every Gaddafi lynched, for every Mandela jailed, for every African child who will never know slavery. We are coming, and this time we're coming with truth, fire, and freedom. To every freedom-loving soul watching this, subscribe to Black Stories Untold now, because every subscription is a bullet of truth fired at the heart of Western lies. Every view is a hammer smashing the chains of imperialism. Every share is a shout that Africa will not kneel again. Subscribe to Black Stories Untold to help liberate Africa from centuries of exploitation, deception, and neo-colonial control. Join the movement. Be the voice. Be the fire. Be the revolution. Black Stories Untold. This is where the truth lives and Africa rises.